All right, so this is part 3. I got my productivity box, and I'm grabbing all the papers I see from here. I put all the papers. I used to be on top of everything, you know, as far as like if I got a bill, I paid it the same day I got the bill in the mail and so on. But I haven't worked in 7 years, so like, well, I did work as a substitute for a little while. I mean, I got fired in one season, so like no big deal. I'm going over parent responsibilities. I will read to my child 20 minutes per day. I will encourage my child to do his or her best. I will monitor the amount of media my child is exposed to. So I tell them why a TV show like Kicking It doesn't really, it's not educational. I don't like, it's almost like garbage TV, all right? Now, there are worse shows, because I went to the neighbor's house and she lets them watch Annoying Orange. Oh my goodness, I almost kicked her TV. Now, that one I could have gotten Baker acted for, and it would have been a legitimate reason, all right? I mean, if you let your kids watch such a garbage TV show, and one is 2 years old and the other one's 8 years old, and oh goodness, I get angry with that one. I got angry. I got blood in me. I got my blood boils. All right. I will communicate with my child's teacher. I will volunteer in my child's classroom. All right, but I was denied volunteering in the classroom because after I got fired, no, we don't want you in there. You're explosive, or they didn't tell you anything. I mean, I'll have to get a lawyer to get all these papers in there. But I don't go to the school because, well, the spouse. I used to go to the school, and on the way I used to see garbage. So I used to take a wagon, a little yellow wagon, and I used to put all the garbage in there. On the way to school, I would empty it out. And the principal, about 3 years ago, said to me, "Thank you, but the spouse says, don't do that around here," you know. So well, I did it to annoy the spouse. But anyway, that's how I ended up being Baker acted. You keep annoying your spouse, you're going to get Baker acted. All right, so the next thing that happened here, I will maintain an appropriate bedtime for my child. We've actually called the cops because my mother was leaving out of town, so my kid stayed up late because she was doing the suitcase, and then he got up at 5 o'clock in the morning because grandma left at 5:30, and then at 7:30 he couldn't get up to go to school, so I called the cops because the spouse was and so I already been Baker acted twice, so they didn't want to come over and pay attention to what I was saying. What I expected them, and I did tell them, is that the spouse is inflexible. He must go to school. I said, fine, let him go at 8:30 when he wakes up, but let that child have rest. And if I would have been more eloquent, I would have said, a child needs to be ready for school. He needs to go to bed on time. All the same words that the school says. And if he hasn't rested, he's not ready to learn. All right? So I'm making sure that my child is ready to learn. So the cops called back and said, we're not coming over. And then the spouse handed me the phone. We're not coming over, but you must take the child to school. I said, yes, ma'am. It's 8:30 now. The child's awake. And actually, I had him with me in the car. We were listening to Querida music from Juan Gabriel. It's a CD that I put in the. I know it's not my minivan. It's the spouse's, but I use it. I do go in there to listen to music. So we were listening to it. And I had to carry him on my back, and then we both had to pee in the backyard. Because we didn't want to go back in the house, because then the spouse is, ah! So anyway, we did that. Because we couldn't get back into the house because we already were in the car. But I was making my son laugh because I don't want him to be crying. I mean, he's not ready to go to school if he's crying. I mean, it should be in a happy moment, you know, like the day you get married. Not supposed to be crying. It's supposed to be happy, right? Talk to you in part 5 or whatever. Let's see. I don't know. Part 5? Next part.